Final Fantasy XIV, their MMORPG by Square Enix, has steadily climbed up the ranks of people's most beloved MMOs in the last few years. From its initial failure with 1.0, to one of its highest player counts near the tail end of Shadowbringers and the launch of Endwalker, the game has carved out a very special place in people's hearts. If you ask someone what their favourite part of the game was, you get a variety of responses. The story, the gameplay, the raids, the community, aspects of this game with an immense amount of care put into them. However, there is one part of the game which is universally loved, one that, undeniably, elevates every emotional moment that the game has to offer. The music. With Dawn Trail on the horizon, I decided now would be the perfect time to go back and have a sort of retrospective ranking of all the songs from Endwalker, as a sweet little send-off to the expansion. What better way to celebrate the future by looking back on the past? Actually, hold on. How does someone manage to rank hundreds of songs in an expansion? I mean, there's like, what, 30 hours of songs here? No ordinary person would be able to undergo such a monumental task. Well, through the power of unemployment, I sat down for hours listening to the songs on loop until my ears started to bleed, and then put them into neat little categories so I could rank them easier. To briefly explain my process, I went through every song from the expansion in order, and then grouped them together based on what content they came from. It made it much easier to get through all of them and kind of organize them for when I actually decided to make the list. I did have to exclude some of the following songs due to them being off official albums and not originating from the actual game. Here's the list of all the ones that I felt like didn't really fit, mostly orchestral remixes that came from the albums, as well as some others that just didn't really make sense to put on this list. Obvious disclaimers out of the way, this is a ranking based on my opinion, and it's an Endwalker tier list, so there's obviously going to be spoilers. And then I went through every song, one by one, including the context that they're played in, to comprehensively rank them. And with this swift re-listen, I managed to come up with the top 104 list for all the world to see and experience. So, in the spirit of the expansion's theme, let's forge ahead with the list, and we'll see who will win the title of Endwalker's #1 song. The song that starts off our list is a track titled Tremble. It's a foreboding piece that plays rather frequently throughout Endwalker's more hopeless moments. I wish I could rank this higher, but after comparing it to all of the other tracks from Endwalker, as well as its equivalents from previous expansions, I found this one to be rather lacking. It does a brilliant job of setting the mood, but that's all it really does for me, and it's hardly a memorable track in my mind. You know why this is here. From Below has to be easily the most repetitive track from this expansion. It loops every 52 seconds, and it's a shame. This plays during the Thancred solo instance and feels much more cohesive there, but for some reason they decided to have this song played during the latter half of the Labyrinthos revisit, and this intense blood-pumping track gets used for hunting down researchers that are impossible to find, because the game has a giant map marker for them that gives you zero information, all the while Thor of the Heavens is playing. over and over and over and over. A great track that unfortunately loses so many points due to how poorly it was utilized in the game. The first dungeon track on this list, as well as the first dungeon track from Endwalker, Tower of Zot ended up being a song that just didn't really resonate with me. It's a decent song that clearly fits the dungeon, but it doesn't really leave any sort of impression. Not to mention, this dungeon is surprisingly challenging for both new and old players alike, meaning you're likely to hear this song for longer than you probably want to, which is kind of why I put it here on the list. This one might make a few people upset. I don't really have much to say about Prelude Tales. I think it's nice to listen to when you open up the game, but it's never going to top the Shadowbringers login screen. I also think it doesn't really do anything that interesting with the Final Fantasy Prelude. On top of that, every time you data center travel, the song starts from the very beginning, which can get really annoying. It's cute, I like it, but it pales in comparison to almost every other track on this list, which is why it's at spot 101. At song 100 we have Roads Less Travelled. This is a really relaxing track that carries a strong sense of adventure to it. The unfortunate part is, that's about it. It's quite a simple song in comparison to a lot of the other music that Endwalker has to offer, and it's a real shame that the theme doesn't get used more, as it's stuck being tied to mounts. Overall, it's a pleasant song, but nothing spectacular, earning it this spot in my rankings. In this spot, I've ultimately decided on Ultima's Perfection, Endwalker. This song was really hard for me to rank. On one hand, I really like what the song has going for it. It feels like a brutal march. It sets up the atmosphere for this savage fight incredibly well, and the choice to recontextualize the original score of Ultima's Perfection from the Ivalice raids was the cherry on top. My problems with this song, however, are similar to the ones I have with From Below and Tower of Zot. The repetitive nature of this track can make it really frustrating to listen to, especially when you're wiping in some of the harder content the game has to offer. I don't think this song is bad by any stretch, but it's my least favourite track from the Pandaemonium raids by a landslide. Divine Words is our first zone theme on this list, and personally it's my least favourite of them all. I don't think this song does anything bad, so this one just boils down to my preference. I think the enchanting vocals really add to this sense of exploration, and they really define this theme as uniquely Thavnarian. It's a nice song for questing, and the mix-up about a minute into the track really reminds me of some of the music from Wind Waker. I think this is a really strong track that has great instrumentation, just not one of my go-to picks for a song from Endwalker. Now, this is a weird one. I'm not going to talk about two songs at once again after this, but I feel like these two are similar enough that I might as well, especially when I also rank them next to one another. A Gentleman to Walk With Me and Polygons of Inquiry are both tracks in this expansion's Hildebrand questline. They're whimsical and fun, and really sell home this feeling of a goofy detective with his wacky adventures. A Gentleman to Walk With Me sounds like a cute farewell you'd hear at the end of one of your favourite cartoons. Meanwhile, Polygons of Inquiry is a really charming demastering of the Hildebrand theme for everyone's favourite special boy, Brandahild. Wait, somebody gave him extra polygons? Oh dear. Moving on. Hopping in at spot number 95, we have Dreamwalker, the area theme for Bestway Borough's newest nightclub venue, Hopper's Hold. Now, unlike those other nightclubs that get advertised in Shout Chat constantly, This one is actually part of the Loborit tribal questline. The song is a chiptune remix of the Endwalker main theme, and it really makes the area fun to be in. Watching Hopper's Hold grow throughout the quests, and helping the Loborits rediscover their purpose, all whilst they're clubbing and throwing this massive party, is a delight, and it really helps you grind through the somewhat mundane daily quests. The next song on our list is Vibrant Voices, the day theme for Radzahan. Carrying the motif from Flow, this song will likely be heard a lot if you're a frequent player of 14 due to Radzahan being the endgame town right now. I really enjoy everything this song has to offer. It's got amazing instrumentation as well as a fun beat that you can dance to. It's a great track that makes the city feel alive, and I'm always glad to hear it when I'm running around trying to figure out which vendor is the right vendor. What Comes of Despair is truly fitting of its name. This track has everything it needs to bring the tension high and make you feel uncomfortable. The mixed choir of voices carries this layer of weight to them that makes the arrangement of the song feel so heavy. The way the track slowly keeps rising over and over as the stakes get higher gives those cutscenes where it plays that just extra punch. It's a great track that sets the mood perfectly, but it's nothing I would listen to outside of the MSQ. Spoken Without End is one of the cutscene tracks from Endwalker's main story and often plays during some of the more dialogue-heavy cutscenes. It carries the main theme of Endwalker within it, and it's really good at bringing the atmosphere when you're just listening to a bunch of the Scions talk about what to do next in the story. The melodies and the instruments really make this a relaxing track to listen to, but it isn't so overbearing that you lose focus on the dialogue. Are you ready to go to Eureka? No, not that one. The track, Forbidden Land, Endwalker, plays in Eureka Orthos, the deep dungeon from patch 6.35 of Endwalker. This song is a faithful remastering of a track with the same name from Final Fantasy III, where Eureka originates from. This song really fits the vibe of delving into this curious, ancient dungeon, especially one that's surprisingly high-tech for its place in history. In the end, this track is fun, but it doesn't really end up being all that memorable for me, even if I think it fits the vibe perfectly. The goofy theme of the expansion. Often played during more of the comic relief cutscenes, Shade's Delight is a fun track that has this snazzy undertone to it. The finger snapping really makes this song feel unique in comparison to a lot of the tracks within Endwalker, and Final Fantasy XIV as a whole. Not to mention, it's a nice break from hearing Bliss, Supply and Demand, or By Design play in almost every silly cutscene prior to Endwalker. Also, for some reason this song plays in the Reaper HQ. Drusilla's got taste. Keeping up with the theme of Reapers, this next track, Black Steel Cold Embers, plays during night in Garlemald. This relaxing piano track really reminds me of some of the more calming zone music from prior expansions. This theme carries a different layer of weight to it. You can really feel the hopelessness of this nation in ruins, especially when you're flying around these desolate snowfields with ruined machinery and abominations caused by the Emperor's downfall. There's so much raw emotion in this track, and it knows exactly what it wants to be. Our next dungeon track on this list, As the Sky Burns, plays during the level 85 dungeon, Varnaspari. This song is phenomenal at setting the atmosphere for the dungeon. It's this heart-pounding race against the clock to protect Davnir from the final days, and this song really enhances the feeling of the dungeon. I've come around on this track over time, but I do feel like the repetitive nature of this song makes it a bit grating to listen to sometimes, especially since the dungeon is very slow on repeat attempts. I will say, I do feel like the repeating melody is incredibly deliberate. It's really trying to sell this rushed, uncomfortable feeling of uselessness in the face of despair, which makes it perfect for what the dungeon is trying to make you feel. This next one might come as a surprise to a few people, but the next track on this list is the Ethereal Sea from the Itioscope. I really wanted to like this song, and I've come back to it multiple times on my rankings. However, in the end, I personally couldn't justify giving it a very high number. I think the song is musically fantastic. Even if I feel as if it's a little bit generic for my tastes, it doesn't really leave a lasting impression on me, and I've ran this dungeon multiple times since doing my rankings to see if that opinion would change, but overall I think the track is great. It just ends up on the weaker side of songs from the expansion for me. Considering that this is the penultimate dungeon, I really expected the song would leave more of an impact on me, but I feel like the visuals of the dungeon did way more talking than the music in this case, which is rare for 14. Our next track on the list, Warming Up, comes from the PvP mode Crystalline Conflict. Playing as a sort of introductory piece for the mode, this Torn from the Heavens mix is a nice little opening to every match. Having the prelude play as things are setting up really works in the song's favour. It's a simple track, but I love the way it builds just a little bit of hype at the start of every match. Sometimes, simple is effective. This next track doesn't really get much room to breathe when it's placed in the story, and there's a strong chance that you don't even remember it. Inexorable is the track that plays during the solo instance where you get to take control of everybody's favourite Bloodborne OC, Zero. I don't have a lot to say about this track, other than that I like it. I think for a tense combat theme it works really well, especially as Zero overworks herself, fighting off hordes of Voidsent. It'd be cool if this theme played more, but as far as I'm aware the only time it plays is during the single duty, and it doesn't leave that strong of an impression. It's a good theme for a fun duty, but nothing more. The second Tribal Quest area theme on this list, Hippo Riding, is a pleasant surprise for the charming little locale north of the Yedlamad Aetheryte. This track is amazing, and it makes visiting the Arcus Adora for your daily quests feel all the more worth it. I honestly probably would have put this higher, but this is a song I really have to be in the mood if I want to listen to it. It's certainly very exciting, which makes it a little startling sometimes when I'm trying to get my daily quest done at 3 in the morning. It's such a fun track for such a fun quest line. Unbowed is the track that plays whenever you engage in combat in Endwalker zones. I don't personally enjoy listening to this track very much. I think it's decent for overall combat music by this game standards, but in comparison to Shadowbringers and the upcoming expansion Dawn Trail, oh my god, I love the new combat theme. It's kind of this weird middle child that I don't care for. Sorry if you're the middle child, I just don't have a better way to describe my feelings for this track. The Sanctuary theme of Endwalker, Those We Can Yet Save, is a song named after one of the most compassionate phrases Final Fantasy XIV has given us, and this song absolutely captures that emotional meaning behind the message. This track is a heartwarming reminder of the words once uttered to us by Minfilia, and as we stand in these sanctuaries going through the MSQ, we believe that there are those around us that we can and will save. Musically, this song contains two motifs. One from The Gift of Life, and A Realm Reborn Sanctuary theme, as well as the Footfalls motif from the Endwalker track. The next track on our list is Festival of the Hunt, Endwalker. I'd have to start by saying this song really fits PvP perfectly. A rearrangement of a track originating in FF9, this new mix really emphasizes the high-octane action that a fight can bring. The explosive instrumentation really carries this track and makes you want to perform well in PvP. Just remember to stay on the crystal, the objective is more important than your KDA. Our next dungeon track on the list, The Map Unfolds, comes from patch 6.1, Newfound Adventure, where the Warrior of Light heads into Alzadal's Legacy. Here, we have a really strong track that comes in with a heavy marimba that gives a really unique sound to the dungeon. The song also contains a small portion of Divine Words, the Thavnir Day theme, but with a more heroic, adventurous twist. This is a song that will likely be higher for other people, but for me, the mid-boss theme from Endwalker, on Blade's Edge, sits neatly at the 79th place on this list. Personally, I find this song to be rather boring. I've also heard it a lot, which has really lessened its impact over time. I think the guitar comes in far too quickly, and I only really enjoy the choir part of the song. Undeniably, this is one of the better sounding tracks from Endwalker, but I don't really enjoy it that much. Highland Sanctuary. What people thought was going to be Stardew Valley turned out to be the most cutthroat business the Warrior of Light has ever taken part in. Introduced in patch 6.2 Buried Memory, the track A Quiet Moment plays in your Island Sanctuary's hideaway, which is your base of operations, so to speak. I really like this song. I think it's an excellent backdrop for busy work on your island, and it really keeps the vibes chill, even if you're checking a spreadsheet to manipulate the market for the 173rd week in a row. Next on our list is the Thavnir Night theme, Prayers Repeated. There's not a lot I can say about this song, as in the end it's rather similar to a lot of other night themes in the game, but that doesn't stop the piano work from being absolutely beautiful. This is just one of those tracks that you can put on and fall asleep to. Our first track from Myths of the Realm, One Among Wonders, was introduced in patch 6.1 with the first step of the Alliance raid. This track is absolutely gorgeous, and the instrumentation is so finely tuned for a track that's inspired by the divinity of Eorzea. Playing in the Infalos, this track actually contains 3 motifs, which is a surprising amount. It's got the Prelude, as well as Engage and Dawn of a New Era, which are both themes from A Realm Reborn. Following up from One Among Wonders, we have Pilgrimage, a track that sounds an awful lot like Enya. This is another incredible track from Myths of the Realm, and it plays as you wander around Aglaya, the first of the 3 Alliance raids. The heavenly voices give this track this beautiful backing that sounds like a hymn, and the motif of In the Balance is woven throughout the song as a teaser of what's to come. Our first trial theme on this list, Battle with Four Fiends, Buried Memory, plays as you fight the second fiend you encounter within the story, Barbaricha. This song is a remastering of the original theme from FF4 with a more modern twist, but it also pays homage to the original when the song relaxes for a moment to let a short snippet of the original song play. Slight tangent here, but something about this song has always bugged me. This is the only song from Endwalker that specifically refers to the patch that was added within its song name rather than having the suffix Endwalker. I can only assume that was because at some point they were going to do another mix of the song with the same name, but changed it late in development? Another Moon is next on the list, and this song is another rearrangement of a Final Fantasy IV classic. This song is deeply unsettling compared to its original counterpart, which had more of an alien sound to it. This version of Another Moon doesn't play for very long, but it certainly leaves an impression whilst you're exploring the Crimson Rock of the 13th. I don't have any nostalgia for Final Fantasy IV personally, but I just think this is generally a good track and really works for the area that you're in. The secondary dungeon final boss theme of the expansion, Final Fantasy IV Battle 2 Endwalker, plays in every dungeon from the Fell Court of Troya onwards. This track is a brilliant rendition of the theme that got a lot of people hooked on Final Fantasy in the first place. This energetic tune really fits for fighting a boss, and really works when brought up to modern standards. The one negative I will say is I do prefer the other dungeon final boss theme over this one by a reasonable amount, so I was a little sad to see this one steal the spotlight for 4 of Endwalker's 5 patch dungeons. Our next raid track on this list, Ancient Shackles, is a rather cryptic tune. The song plays in the first 3 floors of the first tier, Asphodelos. There's this deep chanting that works really well for this song. It feels incredibly gothic in nature, and I think that's awesome. The song has such a charming variety of sounds, and I really love the classical piano section of the song that feels more alive than the rest. I do think it was a bit unfortunate to have this song play for 3 of the 4 fights, as it starts to lose its flavour by Phoenix. That being said though, it sets up the Hook St. Leonis motif perfectly for later, which you always love to see. Marching in at the 70th spot on this list, we have Deep Blue, theme for the 6.3 dungeon, Lapis Minalis. This beautiful track plays during your deep incursion into the mountains of Garlemald, discovering an old abandoned Reaper headquarter, as well as the Void Portal that had opened recently. This song makes good use of the Garlemald zone motifs, and turns them into this epic theme for exploring. The big crashing instruments really feel natural for the giant mountains you're on, as well as the deep caves you eventually head into. Honestly, one of my favorite dungeons in the entire game. I love all the bosses, and the music makes it all the much more fun to get in roulettes. A track that I feel like is ever so slightly better than Deep Blue, as they do rather similar things, is Garlemald Express. This is another track that takes the Garlemald zone theme and uses its motifs to turn it into a much more energetic track. The much faster tempo and the more electronic sounding instruments fit the atmosphere for the dungeon really well, especially the early parts, which are full of Garlean trains and other machinery. I honestly only have one small gripe with this theme, and it's that the last room of the dungeon doesn't really fit the song as much as the rest of it. But, in spite of that, I still prefer this one just a bit more, and I think it's one of the better dungeon tracks from the expansion. Our final of the 3 dungeon themes I ended up ranking in a row is Kingdom of Baron, Endwalker. This song is a rearrangement of one of the first songs you hear inside of FF4, so this is one I actually have some experience with. The song plays within the last dungeon of the expansion, the Lunar Subterrane, and it works perfectly. If I had to use 2 words to describe this track, I'd say hauntingly heroic. This is the dungeon that really gives us some more context into the villain of the post-Endwalker MSQ, and this song does an excellent job of capturing the desperation to save a city in ruins. The zone theme for Pandaemonium, where Daemons Abide, plays in the areas of Pandaemonium that you are free to roam around whilst making your way through the questline. This includes the entrance as well as the research cells after you clear out Abyssos. This is such a haunting track, and I love it. The menacing organ playing in the background alongside these enchanting female vocals really set up the atmosphere. I actually really like that after you finish the questline, you can just come back and AFK here if you decide, because it's just really nice ambient music. Playing inside of Bestway Burrows, Welcome to Our Town is another rearrangement of a classic Final Fantasy IV song. This track makes the atmosphere of the Moon Civilization feel really cozy. I think the song is really charming as it feels homely, like you belong in this place. It definitely was a smart choice to use this track from FF4 to represent the Loporrit's kind and light-hearted nature. The day theme of the Sharlayan Research Institute, the Labyrinth, plays within the science hub beneath Old Sharlayan, Labyrinthos. This song has such a whimsical melody that fits perfectly with the atmosphere of the zone. There's such a weird instrumentation to the song that makes it feel so unique in comparison to a lot of the other tracks from Final Fantasy XIV. When I first arrived here, when I was going through the MSQ, I was absolutely smitten by just how whimsical this track was. It was so silly. I love it. As you head out into the wilds to explore your island sanctuary, the track Island Paradise plays, and I think it does a miraculous job of adding that extra sense of wonder to the isle. It's such an upbeat track that fits the vibe of gathering and surviving on this beautiful tropic island. The song wastes no time getting started, and I'm always happy to go around gathering wood or sand. I also think it's really nice that this track doesn't naturally repeat, and sometimes it pauses for a little after it's finished, making that return all the more endearing. Our first and only variant dungeon track on this list, since the others are piano or album arrangements, O Speaker Slumber plays as you explore the mysterious Isle of Aloe Aloe. I think this song does a wonderful job of selling the atmosphere of Aloe Aloe. It's got this beautiful guitar that carries the track, from the waves by the coast, to the mountainous trees that cover the island's deepest secrets. Everything this song does just fits right, and it makes a song perfect for creating some wonderful memories with your friends. Our final PvP track from the expansion, Run, Endwalker, is the overtime theme for Crystalline Conflict. This track speaks for itself. It's intense and high action, and really makes you want to close out the match. There's not a lot I can really say about it, because it does such a good job of being this fitting conclusion to some of the more stressful matches of PvP. It just works. The night theme of Radzahan, Perfumed Eves, is my favourite of the two main themes for the city. I really enjoy the trombone that makes up a lot of this track. I personally prefer this to the day theme, as I feel like it fits a lot better for walking through the market streets. There's such a strong energy behind this track that makes you want to sit down for a minute and just relax before you continue on with your questing. Just a nice little song that you can bob your head to whilst you're living in the moment and going about your routine. Our next Alliance Raid track on the list, Favor, plays within the gorgeous grassy fields and sculpted ice statues of Euphrosyne. This one, once again, has these enchanting female backing vocals that give us a small preview into the final boss theme of the raid, which is always enchanting, and I love when they introduce motifs in this way. Euphrosyne is personally my favourite of the 3 Alliance raids from Endwalker, but I'll be touching more upon that later. There's no day or night on the moon, so Mare Lamentorium gets one universal theme, one small step. This is a slow track that uses the main motif from the Endwalker theme, and it does a great job of translating into this vast song. The song manages to capture the feeling of the emptiness of space incredibly well. The way the notes take a long time to build up and fade, as if they have some sort of low gravity to them, is incredibly clever, and it manages to feel almost alien without feeling silly. It's great. Garlemald's day theme, White Snow, Black Steel, is another track that really encapsulates the downfall of the Garlean Empire. The slow and melodic beat that is reminiscent of a march carries the song into this beautiful piano. Much like with Black Steel Cold Embers, I feel this song does an incredible job of showing the player just how hopeless Garlemald truly is. I don't know if this is definitive, so I can't speak for sure, but the opening notes of the song are incredibly reminiscent of the We Fall motif from Shadowbringers. This would link the track to Emmett Selk, as well as the collapse of Garlemald as a whole. Returning back to the underground, Dreams of Man is the track that plays during the artificial nighttime of the Research Institute. I think this theme is breathtaking. It takes the incredibly energetic melody of the day theme and turns into this gorgeous piano rendition. I think it helps that when you're in-game, the quiet parts of the song really help emphasize the ambience of Labyrinthos. The sound of the water flowing and the bugs around you just complete the song. Next on our list, we have a song that's just as beautiful as its name. Sky and Sundered, the day theme of Elpis, is one of those songs that they really had to get perfect, and I think they met all expectations. This is a strong contender for a lot of people's favorite zone theme in the game, and it's a beautiful backdrop for a zone that is widely considered paradise amongst its inhabitants. The rising melodies and piano make this track a delight to listen to, and it's my second favorite day theme in all of Endwalker. Playing within the Baldesion Annex is a song named The Day Will Come, Endwalker. This song is actually an upbeat arrangement of a track from Final Fantasy V. The choice to use a track from the game where Kral's inspirations are derived from was really sweet. I've listened to this song for a long time when I'm sorting out my glamours and retainers inside of the private chambers of the Annex, and it never gets old for me. Playing within Zero's domain, we have Sorrow and Loss, Endwalker. This is another track that originates from Final Fantasy IV. This new arrangement actually keeps the same somber tone that the original had, and simply enhances it with a fresh new coat of paint. I feel like this is one of those songs that once you start to listen to, you end up losing yourself in the moment. It sweeps you away into its calming, melancholic melodies. I'm really hoping that once we return back to the Void story at some point in the future, we get this as an orchestrion roll, because I'd love to put this in my house. Endwalker's dungeon boss theme, Finality, is an epic track that plays as you hit the final encounter of a dungeon. I'm sure a lot of people would rank this higher, but the placement in my rankings is purely preferential. This is one of those tracks that I think uses the Endwalker motif perfectly. There's such a strong, heartfelt intensity to this track that really makes it stand out as a boss theme. I love the way that this song manages to fulfill different emotions based on the context of the dungeon and what boss you are fighting. It's a genuine testament to just how good this song is. A somber tune, Twilight Terraces, plays within Radzahan for a majority of the MSQ. I personally prefer this moody theme over both of the town themes, as I tend to like melancholic music over the more upbeat stuff. This mood-setting song does a great job of capturing Radzahan at its lowest. From when you arrive, you can just tell that the city is not doing great for the music alone, and the way that the notes hang heavy just gives this song an extra layer of weight to it. An ominous track, Somewhere in the World, Ambition's Writhe, is another one of our many Final Fantasy IV rearrangements. This one is used as the theme for Golbez and often plays during a lot of his cutscenes, especially when he's away from the Warrior of Light. Like I said earlier, I don't have nostalgia for Final Fantasy IV, as I've only played about 3 hours of the Pixel remaster, so this ranking comes entirely down to me simply liking the song. At this point, it probably feels like I've ranked more songs from Final Fantasy IV than tracks from 14, but there's not many left on this list, and Troy and Beauty Endwalker is another excellent arrangement of a classic. This one has quite a stark contrast to the original, mainly because of the context, but the somber melody of the song is really pleasing to listen to. I've said before that I really like the more melancholic tracks the game has to offer, and this is another absolutely stunning arrangement. Let's slow down for a moment, shall we? We're finally at the top 50. I really hope you've enjoyed this video so far. I honestly didn't even think I would finish this. I tend to throw myself into the deep end sometimes with no real idea of what I'm doing. It helps that I've had a lot of my friends inspire me throughout the making of this video. A close friend of mine really wanted me to feature A Mother's Pride from Stormblood as it's her favourite song, so I figured I would play it during this small intermission that I'm going to use to talk about some interesting facts. With that being said, we've certainly still got a long journey ahead of us, so grab some snacks, perhaps a refill of your drink, and we'll press on with some interesting trivia before getting back to the rankings. We're going to be talking about the music from Endwalker's pre-release, specifically from the previews before the expansion launch posted on YouTube. It's often that the music from the previews we get is different. That makes sense, the songs are still being composed or adjusted, and sometimes they can even change drastically. In Endwalker's case, we actually have two interesting examples of what can happen to a song that we've heard in one of the previews. Starting with Radzahan, we got a preview of the day theme. However, in this preview, the motif for the song is completely different. Instead of using the flow motif that we've come to know and love since the release of Endwalker, we actually got a version of the theme using the Song of Hope motif from With Hearts Aligned. Have a listen. To me, this sounds like a weird parallel dimension version of the song. I've heard the correct version of the song so many times that hearing this just feels wrong. I kinda like it though. Moving on, we have the Old Charlayan theme, which is a completely different track in its entirety. Have a listen. This isn't uncommon as we got the same treatment with the Tuliolal Town theme. The previews weren't even close to what we got revealed at the media tour. I just think it's interesting that we can see how the songs evolve throughout development. I wonder what the Solution 9 Town theme will sound like at full launch. Moving away from Endwalker for a moment, there is actually another weird case of a song being different by the time it was added to the game properly. The Shadowbringers Town theme, A Reason to Live, actually features within the files for A Realm Reborn and has a completely different version of the song. I'll play both versions back to back. It's always interesting to see how the music shifts around during development. I wonder why this song went unused for so long. Right! I think it's only fair we get back to the rankings, after all. That is why you're here. Let's press onwards to song number 49. Our final Island Sanctuary theme on the list. Subterranean Sanctuary plays as you delve into the murky caves. This song gives me the same kind of comfy memories that Stardew Valley does. It's just a really peaceful piece of music. I think the track sounds a little bit like a music box, which is rather cute to think about. I love all the little chimes in the background of this track. They just add a little bit of extra life to it. The battle theme for Augh, Radiance, is the first combat track from the Alliance raids on this list. This song contains 5 leitmotifs, which is insane. Engage, Odin's theme, Dawn of a New Era, as well as the main theme of Final Fantasy alongside the prelude. When music does this, I just can't help but be smitten. The track is this energetic dueling song that gets the blood pumping, and I love the little intermissions it does with itself to show off some of the motifs. Especially the Dawn of the New Era section. Woof. The song that truly brings our journey to an end. The Tale of the Star is a beautiful send-off to the expansion of Endwalker, and the 10-year story of Hylian and Zodiac. I'm a sucker for the main theme of Final Fantasy, so finally getting a song after so long that pays respects to the full theme was everything I could have wanted from the credits theme. The choir section of the song is beautiful, it's just absolutely stunning. It really feels like the song is worth 10 years of the wait that it took to get here. Playing out of the radios in Carla mode, Home Beyond the Horizon is a haunting track that tells a tragic story. I think the message behind this song is so important to the overarching plot of Carla mode throughout Endwalker, and because of that, this is a song that stuck with me for a while. The choice to have these barely comprehensible lyrics that fill the space of actual words is really, really clever. It makes the song feel uncanny, especially when you realize that the clapping and the choir voices are likely that of the dead. I really appreciate that they added the song as an orchestrion role a couple of patches after Endwalker came out. They really realized there was a demand for creepy radio music to play in your house. The old Charlian night theme has to be one of my favorite town themes in any game. This song is called The Nautilus Knoweth. The mix of guitar and bongos make this absolutely beautiful rendition of Flow. This is just one of those themes that really help you unwind after a long day of playing, relaxing with friends, or perhaps you've just logged in and this is the song that greets you. I've personally spent a lot of time AFK in Old Charlian for the music alone. The atmosphere of the city is so beautiful, especially when it snows. I also really like the architecture of the city, as well as how efficient it is. I always felt like it was really easy to access places I wanted to go. The inn room's close, the market board's close. It's just a very cozy zone, and I'm kind of upset that we're not going to be there anymore. For the final foray into Myths of the Realm, we have Fair Winds to Guide. This song does a brilliant job of feeling heavenly. The choir in the background that slowly builds until this massive drop just over a minute into the song is really emotional. It's a shame the space between bosses doesn't last as long, because you will never really hear the full strength of this track in a normal situation. Recommend getting this and just putting it in your house, because it's just one of those songs that's really nice to listen to. There's a part in the raid where the music stops for a brief moment, and you get this gorgeous shot the second the music starts back up, of this golden light, and it's just breathtaking. I really like this Alliance raid. When faced with an impossible question, you give your answer. Playing in the fight against Heidelin, the song is a testament to just how far you've come in your story. The song is no longer about the context of someone suffering in a plight, but rather someone who has come a long way. I love answers, and this is simply another beautiful arrangement of the song. It fits the trial perfectly. This is one of those songs that just really tells you that you're getting close to the end. I love this song, and I love this fight. The fact that you're able to do it with a full party of trust is also just a really good experience, that even if you didn't do it for the MSQ, you should go back and do it just once, because some of the reactions and the interactions that the party members have are really funny. I'd have to say that Stars Long Dead is probably my favourite night theme within the whole game, and if it wasn't for The Nautilus Knoweth, it probably wouldn't be that close either. This is the song to me that really sold the idea that Elpis was viewed as a paradise. I think the track name is phenomenal. The fact that we were exploring this ancient location that's been dead for a millennia, and the lofty piano managed to make it sound both hopeful and woeful at the same time. The ambience here is just stunning, and I would often just sit in Elpis while I waited for things to happen. The first Criterion song on our list, we have Desert Sun. Did you catch what motif this song has? It's honestly kind of hard to tell, but it's Twilight over Thanalan. I love this song. It's such a good mood setter for Criterion, some of the best gameplay Endwalker has to offer. The fast-paced, epic nature of the track really keeps you on your feet, and even though it's rather repetitive, I feel like that works out quite heavily in this song's favour. This is a really good song to prog to. It's got a really inspiring nature to it, which makes learning mechanics while you're hearing it really fun. When fighting Zeromus, I had no idea what to expect. Having only played a few hours of Final Fantasy IV, I'm not familiar with how it ends, but even though I've only really touched the opening of the game, hearing the Red Wings play as the boss enters the second phase really struck a chord in me. The way that they close out the Final Fantasy IV saga in 14 by playing the song that starts the game is just really cool, especially when you consider the game starts with the protagonist returning home, which is all as Dio wishes for. The final dungeon of Endwalker, the Dead End, is accompanied by the track of Countless Stars. Reunited with their allies, the Warrior of Light carries this hopeful theme throughout these dead stars. This song juxtaposes the gloom and despair of the dungeon with a hopeful rendition of Close in the Distance. Its entire purpose is to show Meteion that she is wrong, and even though you can be surrounded by despair, there is still hope. I really love how they decided for the dungeon that it wasn't going to be generally a theme that is supposed to dictate the environment, but more the emotions of the story in the current moment. The fact that the song is pretty much how the Warrior of Light feels in that moment, full of hope that they've been reunited with their allies after insurmountable loss. It's just beautiful. It makes this dungeon even more impactful, going through these stars and realizing that even though things look bad, we have each other, and the journey is important. A song so good that Rubicante finally decides to show us what's under his mantle. Launched in Crimson is one of the most insane tracks they've given us to date. Arranged by Hyodane, who is widely known for their mix of the Four Fiends, this song is an absolute masterpiece, and the fact that he was able to compose a proper boss theme for Rubicante almost 15 years later is awesome. This song is straight up just an homage to his old music, which is kind of crazy, I suppose. The fact that you can make something like that 15 years ago and then eventually it leads to you making music for Final Fantasy XIV. The lyrics for this song also go incredibly hard. I'd suggest looking them up because they're actually really cool. I didn't even realize they were lyrics at first because they're blended in so naturally. It sounds almost like 14's normal, typical kind of words, but not words, but no, there are actual lyrics and you can hear them. Each Drop is one of those songs that's a little difficult to talk about without just bringing up flow, arguably the true main theme of Endwalker. This song does a lot of things similar to flow, but I'd say it still manages to stand on its own. It serves its own purpose. I feel like this version of the song is used much more when trying to provide a moment of levity, a moment of reflection. There's definitely enough versions of flow in the expansion that you could make your own tier list of them, though I'm not going to be doing that. Why does Statisse have a gun if she's going to spend most of the fight whacking you with it? Oh Hunter Rejoice is our second Criterion dungeon track on this list. This tropical blitz plays as you work your way through the mysterious southern isles of Aloalo. This song just feels really good to listen to. It nails that tropical vibe perfectly, and absolutely keeps spirits high as you wipe Takeda Duke for the 59th time in a row because the bubble mechanic makes zero sense to me. If you're looking to get into this content, I would recommend Alo Alo the most. It has the most carrot on a stick rewards, which is typically what people who play 14 play for. There are some really nice weapons you can get that I would recommend looking for. I don't think any song in this game encapsulates just how desperate things are better than Miracle Works. You take such a beautiful somber melody from the Opus D and Night themes and crank it up to 11. This track makes you absolutely want to blaze through the dungeon. This is one of my favorite dungeons in the entire game, simply because everything about it is breathtaking. Getting to go through this dungeon and experience it in the MSQ, especially using the trusts, it's where Endwalker really starts to peak in its story, and I love that. One of the casual cutscene tracks used in the expansion when the stakes are low and the mood is high. The Last Stand is a personal favourite of mine to hear throughout the MSQ. The song is very reminiscent of the Sharlayan themes, which make this song feel very homely, given that we spend most of our downtime there. I love how this song uses the footfall motifs throughout. It's got a little bit of everything, mixed with a bundle of love. Elysian, the birth of a star, a cradle of hope. The final song from Endwalker's Tribal Quests, this is a more overtly hopeful version of Close in the Distance. Carried by a piano, this time, I feel like the song represents the many different people who come to call Elysian and the last dregs their new home. The relaxing lo-fi on the song and the beautiful scenery makes Elysian a beautiful place to AFK at, but also, visiting it for my tribal dailies is just a really nice, relaxing experience that I don't have to worry too much about. Our second Mist of the Realm boss theme, Course Uncharted, plays within the final alliance raid, Thalia. This track features heavy use of both guitar and accordion, which is a beautiful combo. I really like how sophisticated this song sounds, especially since the later parts of the song feel quite adventurous. It's a unique blend that matches all three bosses well. This is actually the only combat track from the alliance raids that doesn't use the Defender of the Realm motif, but there is a reason for that, which will be revealed soon enough. The song everyone was waiting for after we heard it in the Sage Job trailer. This snazzy tune, Carrots of Happiness, comes at us courtesy of Smarten, a 3D printed hellscape. I don't know if anyone else expected the song to play in the dungeon, but loading in for the first time and hearing the opening play as you're heading down that lift, it absolutely reminds me of a certain dungeon from Shadowbringers, and honestly I feel like both of the launch expert dungeons for Endwalker were just really good. I really love how this song is just a really upbeat version of Footfalls. They use the song so well here, and it just feels really exciting to be in Smarten. never thought I'd hear a proper Old Charlian dungeon theme, but in 6.4 they gave us the Aether Font, and it came with Star's Breath. A mainstay in my house orchestrion since it dropped on my first run. I love this song so much. It's one of those tracks that slowly builds up over time, and will typically always hit its peak just before you hit the boss. Its brilliant pacing and delightful choice of instruments make this dungeon feel fun every time. I'm really glad that it was the 6.4 Expert Roulette dungeon, meaning I get a 50% chance to get it every time I queue. I shouldn't have to be the one to tell you that this fiddle goes hard. Playing in Euphrosyne, we have Rhythm of the Realm, and it's the boss theme for the second Lion's Raid in Myths of the Realm. Much like Radiance, this song makes heavy use of some iconic leitmotifs. It once again features Engage and Dawn of the New Era, as well as the prelude in the main theme of Final Fantasy. They gotta stop making the Dawn of the New Era section part sound so good. It's not fair. It's really hard to top the You Are Brumeth as a theme for a social hub. It's one of the more simple renditions of flow within the game, and it really works for a place like Old Charlian. I especially love how throughout your experience in Endwalker, you'll probably hear the vocal section of this song a lot, but never really pick up on what the lyrics are until you hear flow, and then everything is beautifully clear. The song ending with the With Hearts Aligned melody is so pleasant, and it encapsulates everything Endwalker stands for in a song. The song that truly lets you know that you're in Endwalker, hearing the drums build as you see Old Charlian in the distance, and conversing with your allies. As far as I know, This only plays in the singular cutscene, which could be considered a waste, but I think they used it well. Now, give us this as an orchestrion roll, please.
The will of the star has entrusted the future to you and yours. As entities charged with ensuring life on Aetheris, we rejoice in this outcome with all our hearts.
Tis time, beloved children. Time to bid farewell to relics of the past.
If you wanted a pure, unfiltered Final Fantasy song, then I'd likely present you with Myths of the Realm, as this song does everything correct for being a final boss of the Alliance raids. It starts off with a rather simple instrumental, before exploding into this epic orchestra. The use of all the motifs we've heard throughout the raids is such a beautiful thing to have pay off with, and I especially love the use of the main theme of Final Fantasy. I know people expected something more in line within the balance, or dedicated to Moonlight, but I think this is the perfect send-off for Eulogia and the 12. I think the most impressive thing about Echoes in the Distance is that it manages to convey such a wide variety of emotions, while also doing very little. The filters applied to the song make it feel like it's just ever so slightly out of reach, but it's still near enough for you to feel its presence. A beautiful melody that has some of the best payoff in Endwalker. Another instrumental track coming in, this time from Pandaemonium. Here we have Silent Scream, a silent version of, well, Scream. I think whether or not you prefer this, or the vocal version, entirely differs from person to person. I personally really like this version, and actually prefer it as a fight theme. The music choice for Pandaemonium was always something that's excited me, and I love the mix of the organ with the more rock guitars and drums. Honestly, I would have loved a version of the song that transforms halfway through, going from Silent Scream to Scream, but we never got that unfortunately. There is absolutely a mistranslation here. There's no way it's pronounced Rokon when this music makes you want to rock on. Our last Criterion song on this list, Crimson Rise, is an absolute banger. This heavy metal guitar with the melody of the Kugane theme just works so well for inspiring you. With this intensely passionate track, the bosses stand absolutely no chance. Rokon is fast paced, and I think this music really fits. Even the first boss just does an attack that is completely random. You have to dodge the lines that spawn underneath you, but you have basically no time to do it. It's really fun. Not to mention, the second boss has a bunch of mechanics that are most often seen in Ultimate. It has Looper from Top. What? This track does not waste any time getting started, and I do not blame it, because it has places to go. Final Fantasy IV, the final battle Endwalker, is the Phase 1 theme for Zeramis, and whilst it's not something I go out of my way to listen to, I do really like it, and I think it's one of the strongest songs from the entire expansion. The final fight absolutely has to go out with a big bang, and, well, I think it's satisfying enough. With how much the song changes around, it's constantly feeling like it's trying to keep you on your toes. I really like that.
Godhood is within my grasp. I need only reach. Even should my vessel crumble. I shall take hold of my reward. If I must tear this wretched world down, I shall! See now how I long for our reunion.
A song that would eventually have to be shortened by 1%, Whitestone Black plays in the Savage phase of Abyssos the 8th Circle. I would have probably ranked this track higher if my raiding experience with this fight wasn't miserable. I think the lyrics to the song are really well crafted, and the fact that they reference Don Quixote adds a lot of character depth to Hephaestus without even needing to say much. I have two friends who really like this track, as well as Embers, so, you know, a special shout out to them, I guess.
Ericthonios is mine, heart and soul. And with your death, none will be left to stop me.
Going through the fight backwards it seems, Embers plays within the first phase of Abyssos the 8th Circle. It's one of my favourite raid tracks in the game. I actually predicted this song would have Thunderer in it a week or two in advance, and a friend of mine messaged me very angrily when she got to the fight. The song actually is mainly just a sped up version of the main Ascian motif from all the way back in A Realm Reborn. It's impressive how speeding it up and adding a drum backing track can completely change the vibes of a song. The Academia Oneida part is also a much welcome surprise. I love all the places this track goes.
Before darkness swallowed the world, I fought tirelessly in a war without end. The experience taught me to discern the strong, that dragon, and you.
Expect no mercy. To destroy you, I shall bring my all to bear. Come, warriors from beyond the rift.
This is easily one of my top 5 trial songs in the game, without question. Voidcast Savior is our final and my favourite Final Fantasy IV track that was rearranged for Endwalker. This is the song of a hero. The choice to incorporate the main theme from Final Fantasy IV was absolutely brilliant. Even the framing of the song, with Golbez being referred to as the Savior, is just an excellent way to show characterization through unconventional storytelling means. The way the song rises and falls, it just works perfectly for a clash against two great heroes. And with the further plot implications in 6.5, there's so many layers to this song that just work so well. Oh, sure, yeah, okay, yeah, let's just make a heavy metal Castlevania track, whatever. Hook St. Leon's has to be one of my favourite tracks from Endwalker, and I'm still not tired of hearing almost 3 years later. The lyrics are super cool, and there's a lot of story hidden behind them. This was my first Savage tier I ever completed, so this song has stuck with me pretty hard. Hearing parts of it remixed in Anabasios was so satisfying. This song also has the award for completely driving the community wild when the official lyrics were revealed as Wild Shrieks and not Wild Freaks. Pandaemonium's music has gone through many different musical styles, but I think the last thing people expected was one amongst the wary being trance EDM. I love the music box melody this song has to it. The electronic high-pitched noises are really satisfying to listen to, even if they sound a little bit like Minecraft XP. One thing this song weirdly uses is the remove sample. You can hear that same woman screaming from Thunder Rolls at times.
You have done well to reach the seat of godhood. Now, bear your souls to me. You have done well to reach the seat of godhood. Now, bear your souls to me.
In terms of telling a story with music, Athena the Tireless One does it perfectly. The lyrics to this song give such a deep insight into Athena's creative process, as well as reprising a bunch of different lyrics and motifs from the prior raids. The fact that she takes all these lyrics that exist, but then repeats them with her own perverse twist, does so much subtle storytelling. Sometimes a villain can simply be irredeemably the worst, and they absolutely succeeded with Athena.
So it was that the brave wayfarers arrived at last at Dream's End. In following their path walked and history written, I am made keenly aware of one truth. Though the curtains may fall again and again, so long as others take the stage, ever shall there be more tales to tell.
It is not easy to create a song that is able to convey such a strong amount of emotion like Close in the Distance does. It's a song built off the payoff of a long journey, 4 expansions and 10 years worth of story. Jason Charles Miller delivers an excellent performance with lyrics that dare you to forge ahead, despite all that remains. As for why I've ranked this in 15th place, it's simply because I feel as if a lot of the impact of the song is lost when you hear it so frequently. I would have personally had it play in the areas where the Scions made their sacrifices. It's just difficult to listen to this song a lot, and if you leveled your gatherers with daily quests, you'll know how frequently you had to hear this song.
Believe and walk in faith. Let the light of your soul shine for all to see. Not quite the outcome you'd imagined, but a fitting one nonetheless. Don't you think so, Hades?
All I craved and more. Boundless power. Mine to command. Establishing connection. All creation shall bend to my will.
What do you mean it's level 83 and I'm fighting Zodiac? I love that this trial took everybody by surprise for the first time during through Endwalker's MSQ, and I wouldn't be surprised if Endcaller did too. This song is mostly comprised of a choir of voices chanting along to the instruments. This was to represent all the sacrificed souls inside of Zodiac, calling out to their god, and that's just so cool to me. This is also one of the times that you get to hear the With Hearts Aligned motif play within the expansion, and it absolutely makes the song feel like you're fighting a final boss. I do think the orchestral version of this song they released later on loses a few points because they just copy the lyrics from most of Endwalker's other songs rather than coming with their own unique lyrics representing their faith to Zodiac, but oh well.
Is this the limit of your power? Is this how it ends?
I am Null, keeper of the realm of the living.
I am Thor, keeper of the realm of the dead.
Prepare to be judged, children of man.
Oh, twin gods bless this track, apparently. In the Balance, it's a song that represents the culture of augh, and the lyrics are absolutely masterful. The song really set a precedent that only Euphrosyne followed up on, but by the 12, did it set the bar high. The singer on the track did an absolutely amazing job for her first time performing in XIV. I think the boss theme, being a song that canonically would be used to worship the divine, is such a clever idea, and the second chorus deciding to strip back the instruments and let the vocals carry the song are just some of the many things that make this song beautiful.
You have been found worthy.
With Hearts Align is such a beautiful track, because just when you think all hope is lost and the fight is over, the Scions of the Seventh Dawn succeed their prayers to keep you safe. Spirits are high, Dynamis has shielded you yet again from another encounter, and as you fight your way through Endsinger's final defiance, the Maker's Ruins playing, you realize this isn't her theme, it's yours. And in that self-same moment, you realize the lyrics you've been waiting for all expansion kick in. Personally, I would rank the instrumental version of Close in the Distance higher. I think the songs are roughly equal in quality, but the lyrics playing every time you arrive in Ultima Thule unfortunately lessen the impact of the song for me. This version has such good ambience that carries the zone, and feels a lot more palatable for exploring. A beautiful song for a beautiful zone.
Come bathe in the moon's tender glow.
Some would argue that I was biased by nature to put this track high in my rankings. Part of me would have put it higher, but as much as I like this song, there is still some that deserve a higher spot than it on my list. Dedicated to Moonlight is the final boss theme for Euphrosyne, and it plays as you fight Menfina. This track is sung from the perspective of a small group of Keeper of the Moon Makote who worship Menfina. This song actually means a lot to me, because I in fact play a Keeper of the Moon with the patron deity Menfina. It's a song about finding all the love in the world, under the passionate light of the moon. I absolutely adore the lyrics, and the fiddle yet again goes incredibly hard, securing this at the top 10 spot of my favourite songs from Endwalker.
Our dreams may yet become reality. Thank you.
Our first proper version of Flow on this list is the instrumental version, and it sits neatly at the number 9 spot. Flow has to be easily one of the most beautiful pieces of music ever created, and I would imagine that it would be hard to find a person who reasonably disagrees with me. The song's piano melody is so well thought out, and it manages to be both mournful and uplifting at the same time. It's a song of hope, and one can only truly find hope once they've struggled with some sort of despair. I listen to this version passively, time to time. It's good ambience, I just wish we had an orchestrion roll for it. While Silent Scream is good, I find Scream to be so much more enjoyable to listen to. I feel like the lyrics really complete the track. They're so fun to sing along to. I even had the pleasure of being at FanFest, and hearing this song live is unironically life-changing. The double meanings this song has, learning more about the Key Wardens, but then also, as of 6.4, we know more about Athena, and we can see her influence on the song too. This track is absolutely inspired by Evanescence, and that's genuinely so cool for a gothic prison like Pandaemonium. This song would easily be in most people's top 10s, so I don't think it's any surprise that it's ranked number 8 for me.
Meteion, though I gave you these wings to soar the heavens, I did not teach you how to walk the earth. So loath was I to bind another living being. In the course of your long journey, you will learn from those you meet. Learn to walk and run, and so much more.
This song has a few names. I've heard it referred to as Hopeful Dynamis, Dynamis, or Meteion's theme. This is a song that plays during a lot of her moments in the MSQ. The one that sticks with me personally is the one with the Elpis flowers in Ultima Thule. This version of Flow slowly rises and builds as it becomes this more and more hopeful track. I actually have the opening notes as my Discord join sound effect. They're really important to me. This song absolutely deserves its place on number 7 on my list.
That is far enough, Hermes!
Argos, to me!
In 6th, we have Heroes Forge Ahead. This track is one that has stuck with me for the entire expansion. It's such a powerful song that really encapsulates the feeling of simply being a hero. There's so much hope behind this song. It's filled with so much grandiose and epic instruments and cymbal clashes. I genuinely feel like this should have been used as a dungeon boss theme here and there, because it's just that good. Whenever the song plays in a cutscene, you just know some really cool things are about to happen. You're gonna have the most awesome moment of the entire expansion unfold right in front of you.
I suppose I have Athena to thank for this incarnation. I have long considered how I might stand against you, I admit. In transformation, I present to you my truth. I am Illidibus.
I did not expect Fleeting Moment in the slightest, but immediately upon hearing it in the patch 6.4 trailer, my brain started going into overdrive. I had so many theories about Pandaemonium and where they'd go, but this song added an entirely new possibility into the mix. The fact that this song is a major key version of one of the most heartbreaking songs in the game, it's a track filled with all the values and messages that Endwalker has to offer.
At the Crystal Tower's peak, we clash. From that self-same spire, I send you forth into our age, into Elpis. And among these uncountable stars, it was yours that crossed my path. For that, I shall be forever grateful.
This song is fueled by the love that Themis has for his people. It's such a beautiful melody that feels earned for this dance you get to have with Illidibus now that he's able to put his duty aside and simply exist for one fleeting moment. This is my favorite track from Pandaemonium, and easily my top 5 song from Endwalker. No doubts.
You value life. You do not burn yours save for reasons you deem worthy. Reasons such as those which brought you here. The salvation of a world and its people. The motives of a hero true. But there is more to you than that. You know this to be true. As surely as you know the thrill of pushing your body and soul to their limits. Of confronting ever mightier foes, dancing ever closer to the precipice, wondering if this will be the one to finally fill the void. Such pleasures you seek for their own sake, and no other reason. Is this not so, adventurer? Ha! Acceptance! At long last! The conflagration of our clash will scorch even the stars!
At number 4, we have the main theme of the expansion, Endwalker. This song plays during the final clash against Xenos. The fact that the Endwalker main theme is comprised of all prior expansions music means that playing it at the very end carries such a significant weight to it. The song represents our story. If it weren't for all these melodies woven throughout this theme, we wouldn't even be standing here at the edge of the universe having this clash. Not to mention, each expansion's time to shine in the track is absolutely incredible, especially the Stormblood section. I think putting a lot of emphasis on that, because it's Xenos clashing against the Warrior of Light, is such an incredible thing to do. My favorite part of the Endwalker theme has to be the ending though. The dual lyrics with the echoes in the back are so significant to me. They can represent so many things, but I choose to believe they represent people like Vanar, Ardbert, and Frey.
You, who are our future. Tell me this, and tell me true. Has your journey been good? Has it been worthwhile?
I don't think it's easy for words to describe just how beautiful Flow Together is, but I'll try. This song is a clash of two styles of music in a way that weaves them together into harmony. Vanar's main theme, Flow, gets mixed with the melodic guitar that frequently has been used to represent the Warrior of Light in a lot of the music from Final Fantasy XIV, especially the Shadowbringer soundtrack. This song is purely about you and Vanar bonding together, and the way that this music is able to completely represent that so subtly makes this one of my favorite songs to listen to. The song belongs in my top 3, and I imagine most people would feel similarly, even if they didn't realize the subtleties the song has to offer.
I take it this is your prey. But why does it still live? Surely it is no match for you. I assumed you would be above something so banal as despair. Am I mistaken? I care not. What I desire of you isn't succor, it is satisfaction. So come! Let us dispense with this distraction, you and I!
You struggle in vain. You will not silence our song of oblivion. You will never reach it. Will never reach the deliverance you seek.
This is without a doubt one of the best pieces of video game music, period. Never before have I heard a song that is able to weave so many unique and different sounding tracks together into one cohesive song that is able to represent 10 years worth of history. The final day rides in with the worm's tail as you quite literally ride in on Shinryu, followed by the main theme of Final Fantasy. Then, your journey begins. You're taken back through the big fat tacos of Ultima, the sounds of Ishgard through Solid and Heroes, as well as ominous prognostics, the Shadowbringers theme, and Tomorrow. Your entire journey, up until this point, has led you here, to the edge of the universe. And that journey will be the soundtrack to your victory. The end singer will get her answer. And that answer is your journey.
If this was not the answer, then what is it? Where lies happiness?
I don't think it's a surprise to anybody that Flow is my #1 song, but I also don't think I need to sit here and explain to you why it's so good. Instead, if you'll bear with me one last time, I'd like to just talk, to share my experiences, my journey. I started playing Final Fantasy XIV during the lead up to Endwalker. It was 2021 and I was still struggling with the aftermath of a messy breakup. I had no idea how this game was going to impact me in the slightest. A deeply important friend had introduced me to somebody, and the two of them helped me through the early steps of my journey. flying me around and showing me the wonders of Eorzea. I still remember being absolutely smitten the first time I saw a bard performing a song in Limsa. I had never truly connected with an MMO until now. Endwalker left a deep impression on me. The emotions of the journey really helped me grow as a person. It taught me lessons about life that I would tragically need sooner than later, as late December my father would pass away. I was actually in Radzahan at the time. It's a difficult memory that I don't think I'll ever forget. One of the things I used to share with my dad all the time is music. Growing up, him and my mother were in a bunch of bands together, so I've always been surrounded by songs my whole life. As I played through each expansion, I was constantly showing him new songs from the game, and he was always impressed with them, and just before Endwalker launched, my copy of the vinyl arrived, and we were able to listen to that together before he ended up in hospital. After the loss of my father, I threw myself deeper into 14 as an escape. Fortunately, the Savage tier was just about to launch, and my friends, who I had known prior to 14, were interested. This group would run for 2 tiers, and in it would be someone I've been friends with for around a decade now, who means a lot to me. The group would eventually evolve into who I raid with today, after a few of us decided to try tackling an ultimate. In March of 2023, I, on a whim, decided to make a new account on Twitter. I wanted to share my character and experiences and see if I could make some more friends. In a brave moment for me, I decided to reach out to someone who was advertising their role-playing FC, and I ended up with an invite to their server. It's here where I would meet some of my closest friends, a group of talented, passionate creatives who I care about so much, all while my static server would slowly blossom into a raiding community of its own, with more people I have come to appreciate with all my heart. So thank you. Thank you all for coming on this journey with me, as I shared unto you my passion. Thank you for standing with me through all these years and helping me become a better person, sharing memories with me both in-game and out. Thank you to all of you who helped me make this video. I really couldn't have done it without you. I love all of you with all my heart. Thank you for watching.